The Israel-Palestine conflict. Imagine living in a place where every generation grows up during war, a place where rockets fly across the sky, missiles intercept them mid-air, and millions of people sleep knowing the next explosion could happen at any moment. But here's the question that confuses people around the world. Why has this conflict lasted more than 75 years, with no solution in sight? Why do peace talks repeatedly fail? Why do wars keep coming back? And why does this small piece of land, smaller than many countries' cities, shape global politics, wars, and diplomacy? Today, we're breaking down the real reasons this conflict continues, from territorial disputes to global politics to security technology, and the deep historical forces that make resolution incredibly difficult. Because once you understand the chain of events, you begin to see why the world's most powerful leaders still can't solve it, and why millions of people remain trapped in the middle. To understand this conflict, we have to go back more than a century. In the early 1900s, this land was part of the Ottoman Empire. People of different religions lived across the region. But during World War I, the empire collapsed. Britain took control of the territory known as Palestine. And then something happened that would change the region forever. A growing movement called Zionism pushed for a Jewish homeland after centuries of persecution in Europe. Jewish immigration into the region increased rapidly. But the Arab population already living there saw something very different. To them, this looked like colonization of their land. Two groups, both claiming the same territory, both believing history was on their side. And this is where the tension truly begins. In 1947, the United Nations proposed a radical idea: split the land into two separate states, one Jewish, one Arab. Jewish leaders accepted the plan. Arab leaders rejected it. In 1948, Israel declared independence. Within hours, neighboring Arab states invaded. This became the first Arab-Israeli war. When the war ended, Israel controlled more land than the UN plan had given it. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were displaced. Israeli society saw independence. Many Palestinians saw catastrophe. These two memories still shape the conflict today. Nakba, Palestinian displacement. In 1967, another war changed the map again. Israel captured the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, Sinai Peninsula, and Golan Heights. Most of these areas contain large Palestinian populations. Israel now controlled millions of Palestinians. This created a fundamental political problem. Controlling territory is one thing, but governing people who do not accept that control is another. At this point, the conflict stopped being purely local. It became international geopolitics. The United States became Israel's strongest ally, providing military aid, diplomatic protection, and advanced defense technology. Meanwhile, many Arab states supported Palestinian political movements. The United Nations tried mediation repeatedly. But there is a structural problem. In the UN Security Council, permanent members can veto decisions. This means major powers can block resolutions, and they often do. Russia, China, the United States, and European nations all approach the conflict through strategic interests. Peace negotiations are therefore never only about peace, they are also about power, alliances, and global influence. Over the past 30 years, several major peace attempts were made. The Oslo Accords in the 1990s promised a two-state solution, but major questions were left unresolved. Borders, Jerusalem, refugees, security, settlements, and slowly the peace process unraveled. One of the biggest obstacles to peace is settlement expansion. Settlements are communities built inside the West Bank. Palestinians see them as illegal land seizures. Israel argues they are necessary for security or historical reasons. But here is the key problem. Every new settlement changes the geography of a potential Palestinian state. The land becomes fragmented. And when territory is fragmented, it becomes harder to build a functioning independent country. The conflict is not only between Israelis and Palestinians. Palestinian politics itself is divided. The Palestinian Authority governs parts of the West Bank. Hamas controls Gaza. These groups have different ideologies and strategies. This division weakens unified negotiation efforts. Another factor is military technology. Israel developed one of the world's most advanced missile defense systems. The Iron Dome intercepts rockets before they hit cities. This protects civilian populations. but it also reduces political pressure to reach compromise. Meanwhile, Gaza groups rely on rocket attacks and underground tunnel networks. This creates a cycle of attack, retaliation, and escalation. Even though the conflict is geographically small, its consequences are global. The Middle East energy market is sensitive to instability. Oil price fluctuations affect global economies. The conflict also contributes to refugee migration across regions. Regional powers like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar are politically involved. If escalation spreads, it risks triggering larger regional wars. That is why the world watches every development carefully. When you combine everything, historical identity claims, territorial disputes, settlement expansion, political fragmentation, global power competition, and security fears, you start to see why this conflict has lasted so long. It is not one problem. It is many interconnected problems. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is often presented as simple, but the reality is far more complex. It is a story of history, identity, land, security, and power. Until these issues are addressed together, the cycle of conflict is likely to continue. Because for millions of people in this region, this is not just history, it is daily life. If this video helped you understand one of the world's most complicated conflicts, like this video, share it with someone who needs to understand this crisis. Comment your thoughts below and subscribe for more deep dives into historical events that shape our world.